All right, so last month, my high ticket coaching, consultant, info product, call it what you want. The business did 448K last month. So in this video, I'm gonna go over to kind of what we did to get here, literally doubling the business in about 2 months, and what we're doing right now is September, but this is about August, what we're doing to get it to $1 million a month by the end of the year. So trust me, by the time you leave here, no matter if you're at 5, 10, 15, hopefully not that low, but if you are there, I'm gonna get you up to 50 to 100K. And if you are there, I'm gonna show you kind of strategies we use to get to 400K and looking to get to $1 million a month. So where do we start? Well, let's start with obviously the top line numbers, right? Revenue is good and dandy. You're like, okay, 448K sounds like a lot of money, but how much money is actually profit? Okay, so you're gonna see a screenshot somewhere over here where it says 428K, just so you know, $20,000 is not shown there because those are wires. And also you're gonna see a cost, which is the ad spend of 140K. 15,000 is not showed there because of, it was retargeting ads. So it wasn't actually doing anything other than just, warming up the leads for us. So right there, we got 448K minus 155K for ads, right? Then we have our sales team and sales manager commissions going out. That total up to around 53,000, so that's minus. And then the total cost of our operations is 70K per month. And we had about $20,000 in contracted fees that we had to pay out. So total out of 448, we are at 150K net profit. That's about a 33% net margin on the business. Not the best. Don't love it. And I'll talk a little bit more about later on things that we're doing to kind of fix that. But how are we doing this, right? What is our main traffic source right now? So about 13% of that 448K, so about 60K, 65K is coming in from organic. So right now we are not putting out a lot of organic content, right? Not putting out that many. We just started up on YouTube, restarted on YouTube, just really started kind of getting back on Instagram because what was happening is we're putting out no organic. And what that would mean is we'd spend more on ads. And the good thing about organic traffic is you automatically get back all of that ad spend. It is not there, so it is way more profitable. The bad thing about that is, me personally, I really don't oftentimes have the energy to put out content, especially for that side of business. I like this kind of content, but that side of business doesn't really interest me that much. I've been in that space for like 5.5 years, so I feel like I've been saying the same thing I learned for 5 years. I don't know. It's a little whatever, it's different. So don't want to put out as much content if I don't have to. I'd rather focus on the business itself. So, but I did learn that, hey, make more content. You have to get that organic traffic and at the end of the day, raise your margins, okay? So kind of what was going on was we're running webinars. We run 2 webinars per week, right? And we drive traffic primarily through there. Now, webinars, we don't do a checkout on the webinar. It has to be book a call. We have to actually find that someone's going to be a good fit for our program, community, financially, and just, the whole personality has to be good to get in. We don't want people coming in with buyer's remorse and all that kind of bad stuff. So that goes to a sales team. Sales team handles it, get them onboarded to the program. They go through our whole onboarding process and get enrolled and get right into the curriculum and looking to get them results in their first 30 to 37 days, okay? So that's the kind of rollout we have. Now, speaking of that, let's talk about first what worked, right, for us. Well, the webinar metrics were exceptional last month. We have been, webinars is something that live performances, live workshops is something that you have to get better at. And I started doing webinars at the beginning of February, and I was so bad, it was almost like comical. Our webinar was garbage, right? I didn't know how to do them. Also, my presentation skills weren't as good and I would just get stuck. So this is something a skill set I knew I was gonna kind of suck at and had to build into. So getting better at it. So our webinar metrics were really, really good. On average, we're at around a 30% show rate to the webinar for cold traffic, which is super high, almost like 2x the KPI. Retention rate for people who stay until we actually talk about what it looks like to work with us is usually over 85%, super high. A strategy that we've used that kind of really, really help with this is we actually have our coaches on the webinar with us answering questions throughout. So it's really engaging, right? We don't just leave people in the dust until the Q&A section. We're constantly asking questions. So people feel like I have a reason to stay here because I know I'm going to get my value, even though it's a free webinar. I know I'm going to get my value throughout the course of it. And this is something that really changed the game for us. And then when we get down to how many people are booking a call, last one was our best and it was a 42%. But typically speaking, that could have been, we'll see. I got another one. Let's see how it goes. But typically speaking, we're over at this point around 30% book call, which is really, really at KPI, really good. even though we are still price dropping for what it looks like to work with us. We're not hiding behind closed doors. Like, if you want to work with us, this is how much it's going to cost. All right. So webinar metrics have been dialing up, which is really helping us tremendously. What also worked is a big part of why I really didn't have time to do content was I was in too many parts of the business. I look at June. June was our freaking worst month, right? We had done 240K in 244,000 in top line revenue, and net profit on it was so bad. It was like in the 4-digit range. I think it was like 6 or 5K. It was that bad for net profit coming back to the team. Why? Because our ad costs were too high. I was on vacation. I was in the middle of getting engaged. I was moving to a different state with my fiance. I was doing all these things, and my attention was just so drawn that I realized I was wearing way too many freaking hats. And all that exposed to me is that, dude, get off your high horse, right? Go get some A plays on the team, free up the time so you can focus on what actually drives the revenue so this doesn't happen again. Because if you can bottleneck your own business. Where I see it time and time again, people jump in, they're the coach, and they're also the marketer, and they're the sales rep, and they're the sales manager, and they're the content person, and they're wearing 10 different hats, and they wonder why they're stuck at 20, 50, 80K a month. I was like that for a while, literally holding myself back, doing way too many things. And I had to take a step back and say, look, if this business does get to $1 million a month, which it will, I promise you that. When it does get to $1 million a month, what does that look like? And how many hats can I really wear? Where is my zone of genius? So the first thing I had to do was, I was already off sales calls for the most part, other than a group Q&A call. But what I needed was sales management. And the two options that we always have is go and get a sales agency or promote internally. Now, I honestly feel really blessed by this, but I have some really good internal team. They work really well together. Some of the people on our team are just like, they just killers. They're A players. And that's what I decided to do. Instead of going for a sales agency, I decided to hire and train internally and provide them with the resources so that they can excel in that role. Not mapped out yet. We're still something we're working on, but I'm not mad at it, right? We were able to go from doing 240K in, June? In July, we did, 360, and we were able to do 448, even with an ad account going now for a week. And a lot of that is because I'm spending less time in the business and more time on the business. I'm not reviewing sales calls. I'm not setting up calendars. I'm not checking for call availability. I'm not training reps and onboarding them and doing all these things. I'm like, okay, you guys handle that. Take a percentage of what you kill, like you from what you kill, and let me go focus on what I need to focus on. It allows me to kind of play these different roles, fill in gaps where needed, but really focus on where the business needs to be at in the next few months to really get it to that 7-figure per month range. Now, sales management was a big lever that freed up a tremendous amount of time, but it's still something we're working on. And still in the midst of deciding if we want to go to an agency or not, but we'll know when we hit some bottlenecks. But right now, we're not there yet. What also worked for us is A players, right? We have some new coaches coming in that are helping and freeing up a tremendous amount of time, right? Delegating a lot to them is removing a lot of the pressure to be in the chat all day, responding to questions, everything. Like, if it's high enough level of a question, of course we're in there, but basic questions don't require us. So put in a good client success manager, student success manager, whatever you want to call it, put in good CSMs in there, frees up a tremendous amount of time. And it's something that I took for granted for a while. I was like, people need to talk to me. They don't. They just need answers, right? A lot of the time. Sometimes, yes, of course, we have one-on-one calls. We have our group coaching calls like tonight and everything, but still, they just need answers. And that brings me to something else I'll talk about a little later, but what we're working on to even free up more time and help on the fulfillment end. But that was a tremendous help. Between the sales manager and having our student success team kind of build a better ecosystem, it has freed up a tremendous amount of time with I can actually breathe in the business. And that also leads me to delegation. I feel like what I see a lot of times, and this is something I had to learn from first business I got to $1 million a month. This is my second rodeo scaling. But the first business I got to $1 million a month is what a lot of us do, and even when I got into this business, I did the same thing, is we don't know how to delegate. What we try to do is tell people what to do. And yes, that's a form of delegation, but it's not the best way to delegate, in my opinion. What you want is people who can think on their own, because you can give them a goal and have them go troubleshoot how to hit the goal. So if I go to the sales team, right, and I'm like, hey, our goal is out of these 200 calls, we have at least a 55% show rate, a 30% close rate, and we're collecting this X amount dollar per call. They have the goal. Now it's their job to go troubleshoot it. I like that version of delegation a lot more because A, it creates a way more competent individual on your team, right? And B, it makes sure that you're not making all the decisions, because that you are the single point of fault in your business then. you have one track way of thinking. And especially when you're not the one on the ground doing the actual work, you have a flawed way of thinking. So sooner or later, it will end up flawed, even if it isn't when you first start. So by giving these people on your team the right to think, to create, to build, you are creating a much better, healthier team that can function without you, right? And if they can create the right systems, it can even function without them. So I tell everyone on my team transparently, I'm like, before you come to me with a question, come with your own answer. This is like my number one rule for any business I'm in. Come with your own answer. Don't ask me to answer the question. Come with what you think, and let's troubleshoot it together. If it's incorrect, correct, or maybe we just could both be incorrect and we could go get another answer. But always put yourself in a thinking mode. It's been a tremendous amount of help, and once again, freeing up a tremendous amount of time. Like 2 months ago, I don't even think I would have time to do this video. And the other thing that's been helping out tremendously last month, and it really was only after we got the pixel fix, was pixel conditioning. So because we're primarily running Facebook ads, we need that pixel fully conditioned. Setting up all these different pixels on new ad accounts and business managers was something that it was like a week where we got our ass whooped because we were spending so much into like the abyss and not knowing what was working. But once data started to kick back to the pixel, it just kind of mapped itself out. I will say one other thing really did help, and it was something that I'm pretty mad I overlooked. And this is me being kind of like, I don't think I'm the smartest. I think I just figure out shit as it comes, was organic content. What I used to do, and I think it was really dumb, is I invested more into ads than I did into organic content, right? There are so many services that have done with you or done for you organic content that it's a really low level to pull. Putting people in place and literally raising our overhead ops cost, maybe about total 5K for YouTube and Instagram help, has helped tremendously. Like outside of this channel, the main channel, someone's gonna tell me kind of what I should be shooting. Somebody's gonna tell me these things, so what can I do? I can then go and shoot it. And on the other side, somebody on Instagram is helping create that content where I don't have to be the own bottleneck in the business. They're helping me get through it. This has been tremendous on what worked in August. Now, what didn't work? Okay, well, obviously the ad account going down for a week shot us in the foot. We probably lost at least 100K in revenue, if not about 150K in revenue, and at least about 40K in profit on that. So I will cry for that 40K loss, but it's all good. Lesson learned, multiple ad accounts down, have found a place where I can get agency ad accounts up and running. So I don't think this bottleneck will ever happen again, but it was bound to happen at one point. The other thing that didn't work is when you have A players on your team, what it does is it exposes the B and C players. What I realize is on a lot of our departments, we have B and C players, people that just don't execute at a high clip, people that will miss KPIs a week after week. And I was like, this business would be so much easier if we just have 4 A players. And I would always go to my partner Tay and be like, dude, you got some shit players on your team. And this is how I think. And I'm very vocal about this. And I'm like, we need to replace them. So what has freed up on my time is to take less time on the marketing and sales side because I think we have A players on that team. Spend more time on back end stuff and get A players in those positions. So what didn't work is those being C players, but what did work is the visibility and the transparency I now have to understand who's an A player, who's not, and proactively, not reactively, going to find these A players to replace them if they don't shaping up in the next few months. Once that's in place, I can't wait for it. What also didn't work for us is we were very reactive on the sales management side. And that's just kind of a gap in terms of us scaling aggressively, but also me falling out of sales manager and putting new ones in. We need to have more sales reps on the calendar. Sometimes I remember one webinar, we were so overbooked. We didn't expect this many calls. We were booked out 6 days in advance when it should only be 3 days. So it was very nerve-wracking, and we've been troubleshooting it pretty well. We've gotten some new reps in place, but lack of call availability, even right now, we're still a little tight. We're like 2 reps away from where we need to be. Lack of call availability has held us back and something that we need to actively jump into this month and continue to the end of the year to get to this $1 million per month. Now, the other thing that has been kind of wonky for us is just the sales metrics in general. Now, our team we're performing pretty well. Like, I'll go over this month's numbers so you kind of know where we are, but we want to have our team collect more per call. It's been a metric that we haven't been able to kind of crack the code on. We have some reps that are absolutely crushing it, $800, $1,000, $1,200 per book call, some at like that $400, $500. And across the team, it's just something that we need to pull up. So and this is what kind of brings me to deciding about the sales agency, is like, if we get a sales agency in, they already have SOPs and stuff built where they can train our team a lot better than I probably can. I haven't operated a sales team at this level, and neither have my sales manager. So it's all new territory for us. And it's a kind of give and take. Is the lower hanging fruit, is the easier path to success getting someone that's already been there, done that to come in and just ramp us up? Or should we, learn this ourselves? I don't know yet. I'm leaning towards the agency, but I'll keep you updated with that. But if we can increase our sales metrics by another 15, 20%, the business goes up in terms of profitability, 16, 20% without any any other cost. That's huge. And it's something that, as I look at our metrics, is where we struggle at, because our marketing and metrics are so damn good, but the sales metrics is what keeps us from being able to have such a high return on ad spend. Now, that is kind of what didn't go well, some things that I got to work on, but what's next? All right, so for this month, I'm gonna just pull up the numbers. So I got the most up to date. It is September 10th right now. We are at 267,000 for the month. And our ad cost is only at 59,000. So that is that's over a 4x return on ad spend, which I love. I love, because that means that we can scale. We can definitely scale at a 4x ROAS. Organically, out of that 267, 49,000 of it is organic, which means our organic, we only did 60K in organic last month, 49 already, and we're only 10 days into the month. We are pacing for over 800K this month, which I think we'll get, but the goal is $1 million by the middle of October with a 30-day run rate of $1 million. So we are pushing this quick as hell. And here's the thing, right? And this is what I kind of got to get into, is when something's going well in your business, what people try to do is they try to pull back and my apologies. When something's going well in your business, right, everyone just runs clear as day. But when something is kind of a bottleneck, a lot of people try to stutter step and fix the bottleneck before they scale. Now, that is a way to go about business, but here's how I look at it. There's certain things on the back end that I need to work on. Like, we are implementing an AI tool in the next 4 days to speed up results for students. I'm building AI chatbots to speed up response time, building out more AI workflows that will actually help them produce better results for the people that they're getting into business with, right? All of these things is okay, that is be my priority, because that's high leverage, that's high margin activity, because it's not training a new person, them when they're upset with their dog or their parents, they're successful enough, they're talentful enough. It's consistent, reliable thing, because it's all AI based. So I'm this is the best way to go about business right now. But I can either pull back and work on this, or we can scale the shit and I'm working on it at the same time. And this is kind of, as a business owner, where you need to actually boss up, put your nuts on the table. You got to just say, look, things are working on the front end metrics. We can scale, do not stop. Let me hold myself accountable to get everything to where it needs to be in the next few months. And this is kind of how we're attacking this, right? At 267, the team still wants to get to $1 million a month. I'm on the fence. I think we're going to get to around 850, which is still almost double what we did last month. If we get to 900, great. Everyone's going to get bonuses, some watches, whatever we got to do. But this is kind of where we're going next. The next thing is getting another 1 to 2 coaches in there to handle the scale. So getting coaches in there and training, the goal is not to wait until we get to that bottleneck and fix it, is to get some people started training now, so we're more boots on the ground. When you add that in with the AI implementation of the workflows plus the chatbot, we're ready to hit that goal without breaking on the fulfillment side, right? The next thing is always going to be the comp plans, right? I'm a big fan of incentivizing for results, right? I hate flat salaries. I just don't like them. I think what it leads is poor performance. If you're making 100K a year, no matter if you do good, bad, or as long as you don't get fired, are you incentivized to really push the needle? So building out better comp plans for our sales reps after they hit a certain metric, in our internal team, if students get results, quicker than 30 days, if they get their first 10K month or whatever in their first 21 days. Okay, what does that look like in terms of comp plans for our team? So they're incentivized to coach even better and even more aggressively. So sales training to get our sales reps a little more dialed in terms of their metrics, but also the comp plans for our internal and external teams is going to be huge. And this is pretty much my main focus, leaning on other organizations I know and kind of seeing what they do and looking what we should replicate. Another thing that I have to focus on this month as we scale to $1 million a month, and trust me, that video is going to hit. That's going to be a good one. Yeah, whatever. I'm excited because second business to $1 million a month is kind of like, it's middle class. We're gonna do more than that, but it's middle class. But what I have to focus on is a heavy investment into the business right now. So after we cover up like costs for everything for the month, I'm not even counting. I'm like, if everything was covered for the month, we're already at like 80K in profit. Like, yeah, 80K in profit. So that covers everything for the month, which means the rest of the month is that much more profitable. I think there should at least be like a 40% margin kind of month. If we get to 900 times, 360K. So this is going to be a super profitable month if everything like stays in alignment. But what I got to focus on is like, I'm not going to go buy, I might get a car, but not a crazy car, right? Maybe, I don't know, G-Wagon, something, I don't know. But the real thing is invest in the business. So aggressively investing in these AI tools, content, coaching, sales team, sales training is a large brunt of this. Like where people kind of screw this up is they get super excited because they have a good month or two and they go splurge on some dumb shit. Like my job as a business owner is to, like, this is a mini win, right? My job as a business owner is to prepare us for the next level, right? No one wants to stagnate. So that's going to be heavy investments into better content, like vibe boards, better cameras, or like better environment for the videos, right? For the main business, right? AI tool implementation across the board. Everything that can be automated will be automated over the next few months, right? Getting A-player coaches in there, training them like they are my freaking son getting ready for his first basketball game. Getting that in place and making sure my sales team and sales management have the best coaching in the world. And if I can't get it, then start outsourcing to get that sales team to come in and start training this team, right? But once those four things are in place, I think a 7-figure month is like nothing. I think we could even hit that if I didn't do that, right? But I think with those tools in place, now we're looking at that multi 7-figure month. We're looking at the 2 million month. We're looking at the 3 million month, because once these tools are in place, you really are operating in a moat that no one could compete with you, all right? Another thing I gotta work on is just a higher caliber of ads. I'm really slow in terms of shooting ads, and that's just my bad. Like I really just don't like content that much for that. But it's just putting out a higher quality of ads on a higher clip, especially with the changes to the Facebook algorithm, which I'll talk about in another video. But yeah, I know this was a pretty long-winded update for what's happening in our business in August, but I hope it helped. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave it in the comment. I got you. Or if you're looking for someone to help you scale your info product coaching business and want to work with us directly, there's always going to be a link down there. Feel free to book a call and we'll kind of see what's going on with you and if we could take it to the next level. All right, peace.